Good evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting for July 1st, 2014. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Carolyn Smart, present.
Colin McNabb, present. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being tape recorded. Chairman's additions or deletions, there are none. Approval of meeting minutes for May 6, 2014 and May 13, 2014.
I would move to approve the meeting minutes of May 6, 2014 and May 13, 2014.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we enter into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct collective bargaining negotiations with a telecommunications union.
Second. Been moved and seconded to move into executive session. All those in favor?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Carolyn, aye.
Colin, aye. See you in a few moments, folks. Welcome back. We are done executive session, and we are now going to move on. We're going to jump down over 2.1 because we have an appointment at 7 o'clock, and we're going to go to 3.1. Review request from Police Chief Irving Marshall to approve temporary traffic changes associated with the circus at Spalding Field on July 10th, 2014. Chief?
Thank you. So the circus is coming to town.
Isn't the circus always here?
Yeah, it's usually a circus here, but unfortunately, we had kind of like a minimal time to plan for this. We were advised of it, I think, 2 weeks ago. And again, David Mazza stepped up to the plate and organized an operational plan. We discussed what issues we might have. And among those issues that were of concern to me were traffic flow, parking, and crowd control. This year, as you know, the circus is going to be held at Pheasant Field, Spalding School. Past years, it's been at Hawthorne Brook, which was a little bit out of the way. I think that this year, with it being on the main access Route 119, it's going to be a little more visible, and it might draw larger crowds. The secondary to that is it's also on the night that we're going to have a band concert. So if we have good weather, I expect a large turnout. In order to decrease confusion and allow ample parking, what we've done is develop a plan that would allow for the flow of traffic up Turnpike Road westerly, across Eastman Street southerly, and then back down 119. So there'll be a circular traffic flow involved.
Okay.
So we'd be blocking off Turnpike Road eastbound from Eastman Street, and then Eastman Street northbound from Route 119, allowing traffic only to park on one side of the street. It would allow easy access to vehicles and, like I said, a circular traffic pattern. We're gonna have a command post down there. It's gonna be a police, fire, ambulance. We're gonna have a wrecker available. So we've got things pretty well covered, I think, as far as our services go. We've obviously coordinated this with Fire EMS, and we've ordered some no parking signs. I think they just came in today. So we'd like to post those along one side of Turnpike Road on Eastman Street, Route 119 one side, and would like the Selectmen's approval for us to do that.
Okay. I mean, it seems like it's, again, very clear. It's a good plan. I mean, I was thinking about that as well when they decided to go with Spalding about the parking situation.
Sure.
Carolyn, do you have any comments?
No, just, I'm glad you guys are going to have an officer posted. I imagine people are going to be trying to sneak into country estates.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the areas.
Down that road, yeah.
Anywhere with this parking, I think people are going to be trying to sneak
get in
and
there.
well, obviously, we have to control that as well, so.
We're not voting to shut down a road, so you just want our verbal approval?
Pretty much, yeah, and just to advise you what our plans are and keep you up to date, keep you in the loop, and just, you know, like I said, I would appreciate your endorsement of this plan.
I definitely support it. Is there any help we can give you in advertising that that's going to occur?
I think we've ordered billboards, signed billboards
Okay.
that we're going to be putting up to notify the motoring public about the event and you know, where the restrictions are going to be and so on and so forth.
Chief, you can send something over to me from Channel 8.
I will do that. I will do that as well, Henry. And we've also got some issues out here, obviously, along the, you know, out here on Riverbank and Worcester Road. And so we'll be addressing those issues as well.
And I'm assuming has Rec been a part of this conversation at all, so that at least they know what's going on?
Rec, we asked Rec into the conversation,
Okay.
yeah, so they're aware of what our plans are
Okay, good.
and yeah, they've been advised.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you for putting all that effort into it.
again, thanks to Dave Mazza for,
The hero.
addressing that and putting all the work into it.
Thank you, Dave.
So,
Yeah, if you don't need a motion, we absolutely support it. Just let us know if there's anything else we can do to help you get the word out.
Thank you.
And we'll post to the website, too.
excellent.
Colin, since the chief's here, you want to jump down to his approval of this vacation? Oh, that's fire chief.
3.8?
It's not him, so I'm sorry.
There was.
No, there is one, 3.8. Gonna jump down to 3.8. Review request from Police Chief Irving Marshall for reimbursement of 6 days of earned but unused vacation leave.
As allowed in your contract.
As allowed by contract.
I would move to approve the request from Police Chief Irving Marshall for reimbursement of 6 days of earned but unused vacation leave.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you
Chief.
very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Thanks,
Good to see
Dave.
ya.
Thank you.
Stay
Let's
cool.
see.
You want to just keep going? The 3.9 through 3.13 at least are
Okay.
Okay.
fairly mundane items.
3.9.
Blow through those.
Review request from Town Administrator Andrew Sheehan for reimbursement of 7 days of earned but unused vacation leave as stated in his contract.
Yes. I would move to approve the request from the Town Administrator Andrew Sheehan for reimbursement of 7 days of earned but unused vacation leave.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sue, I think, would probably want to be here for 3:10.
Yeah.
3:11. Review and approve Board of Health's request for transfer of appropriations in the amount of $5,000 from curbside trash and recycling to Board of Health operation. Actually, I'd rather
Okay.
wait. Should I wait till the Board of Health comes?
This is a fairly mundane one. I can explain it if you
Okay,
if you
Andy.
still want to wait, you can. The Board of Health manages the landfill.
Yep.
They've requested, they need a new pump down there to pump the water out of the lagoons at the landfill, and so they're asking for this transfer to fund the purchase of the pump.
Okey doke.
Okay. I would move to approve the request for transfer of appropriations for the Board of Health in the amount of $5,000 to be transferred from the curbside trash and recycling account and be transferred to the Board of Health operations.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty.
It's just you on these, Colin.
Alrighty. 3.12, review and approve town administrator's request for transfer appropriations in the amount of $500 from interest on short-term loans to facilities department wages. Andy?
We just need, it's actually not even $500, but we just need a small amount to cover wages for the closeout of fiscal 14.
Okey-doke.
I would move to approve the transfer of appropriations for the facility wages account in the amount of $500 to be transferred from the interest on short-term loans account 759-5925 to facilities wages 191-5100.
It has been, second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. 3.13, review and approve fire chief's request for transfer of appropriations in the amount of $12,500 from fire EMS department wages to fire EMS department new equipment. Andy?
There is a memo from Chief Boynton in this regard. This is for some software and some hardware for the fire EMS department. He's making some trying to increase some of the automation over there. As I spoke to him yesterday, he was having trouble getting some of the hardware, so some of this may end up rolling into fiscal 15, but he's going to do his best to get, or he was doing his best to get what he could in fiscal 14.
Okay.
And there's one set of turnout gear as well.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I know I had spoke to the Board of Health about their transfer, and they were already invoiced for it, but whereas June 30th was yesterday, has he been invoiced for any of these things that he's asking for? Has he already purchased them? Because
He was working on that yesterday when I spoke to him in the morning. So obviously, anything that he didn't get, that he's not invoiced on as of
it's just going
June
to go
30th,
back in.
will, he can't buy under fiscal 14.
Okay. I would move to approve the request for transfer of appropriations for the Townsend Fire EMS Department in the amount of $12,500 from the salary and wages account 0102-220-5122 to the new equipment account 0102-220-5850.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No, I must put it in my pile. Let's see.
We can sign the warrant for the primary if you want.
Yes.
15.
3.15, review and sign warrant for September 9th, 2014 state primary election.
So primary election, let's see, the 9th day of September 2014, and voting will be from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I would move to approve the warrant for the 2014 state primary. Actually, I would move to approve and sign the warrant for the 2014 state primary.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
You have the original down there? Oh, you have it, okay.
Go.
Want to do 4.1?
Yep. 4.1, appointments of personnel/officials. Appoint Fire Chief Mark Boynton as Emergency Response Coordinator at the request of TEMA Director Shirley Coit.
Is this going to be for a term effective July 1 to, is it a
Yes.
one-year term?
3-year term. Excuse me, a 1-year term.
Yeah, I thought it was one. I would move to appoint Fire Chief Mark Boynton as the Emergency Response Coordinator for a term effective July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2015.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, I think that's about everything we can clean up before our appointment at 7.
Yeah, I think Sue will want to weigh in on the housing production plan, which was very well done.
Fuel bids.
We can do the fuel bid.
Yeah, all right, we're going back to 3.3.
We're all over the place.
Review and approve bid for fuel. Andy?
We, for a number of years, we've done a joint fuel bid with the towns of Pepperell and Ashby, and it's worked out beneficially for us over the years. We issued an RFP, or excuse me, an invitation for bid a couple of weeks ago. Yesterday was the bid date for responses. We received one bid, and that was from Shattuck Oil. They've been a vendor of ours for some time. The base price is $2.88.94 per gallon, with a 12-cent add-on to that. Same price for diesel as well as fuel oil. So we've been, our diesel usage hasn't changed much over the years. We still run a lot of our big trucks under using diesel for fire and highway, things like that. Fuel oil, however, has dropped off quite a bit as we've converted a lot of our buildings to natural gas. So the prices are actually lower than what they were in the last contract, lower than the last contract. So it's a good sign for us.
Do you have the contract over there, or just do you want us to approve?
Just approve, and I sign.
So we were the lead town this year?
Yes,
stuck
we
with
received
that
the
work?
bids. Yeah, we received the bids.
All right, so we're just going to be awarding it to Shattuck Oil
Correct, for the bid
for
price.
3 years?
Yes.
Or do you want to wait for that vote for the contract?
You can do 3.
You can do 3? This will be 17. So I would move to approve the contract, approve and award the contract for fuel oil to Shattuck Oil for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2017.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that, for now,
And to sign the contract at her, when it's completed, I guess we should amend that to say.
so moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are going to take a recess until 7 o'clock when we have an scheduled appointment with the Board of Health.
Yeah, just at the end, 3.16.
Welcome back. We are going to have one addition, 3.16, motion to close non-essential town offices, town hall and non-essential offices at 1 PM on Thursday because of Independence Day. Could I have a motion?
Sure. Just some discussion so people are aware. I guess a lot of folks are out on vacation, so our offices aren't going to be very well staffed. So we had a request to close the building to the public at 1 o'clock on July 3rd.
Could I have a motion, please?
Okay. I would move to close Town Hall and all non-essential offices at 1 PM on Thursday, July 3rd.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are waiting for our illustrious chair for a few more minutes. And Andy, do you have any updates that we could do in the
Do,
interim?
Yeah. A number of things that bring people up to speed on. Couple of budget-related items. We talked before that there was some money that came in fiscal 14 for pothole repair. The initial grant came in and they said you have to spend it by June 30th. But we didn't get the authorization to spend it, I think, until the end of, I think it was the end of April when we finally got the authorization, once all the paperwork went through at Mass DOT. So they've given us an extension on that. We're using that here in Townsend for Shirley Road and Mason Road. I know the grinding had been done last week. I don't know if the pavers had come in and finished that yet. So, but that is still still in the works, and we'll have that set probably in the next, certainly in the next month, I would say. Another budget item in the legislature approved the fiscal 15 operating budget, state operating budget yesterday, sent it to the governor. That included $50,000 that Representative Harrington put in for us as an earmark for public works and public safety expenditures. We were going to use that for the fuel pumps at the highway department and for electronic message boards. So happy to see that in there. Very appreciative of the work that Representative Harrington did for that. It still requires the governor's signature, but hopefully that will be forthcoming in the next week or so.
Excellent.
Real estate bills have gone out. People will receive them. We've talked about this a couple of times. In a slightly different format this year in that we've contracted with a processing service, and that will the bills this year will include 2 return envelopes, and those will be going to it's still addressed to the town of Townsend tax collector, but it goes to a P.O. box in Reading. So we're hoping that will cut down on some of the foot traffic. It will also speed up the, it's a speedier process for them to process these payments automated than it is for us to process them. So, but if you still want to bring in your payment, we're still here to take them. So, however,
Andy, how much does that service cost, roughly?
It was a small startup fee. I think it's about, I want to say it was around $4,000.
But you more than make up for that in the
Yes.
the labor
We
down in
expect
the collector's office.
Yeah, we expect initially about a 25% use of that, and that's likely to grow over time. We'll never get, we're not likely to ever get to 100%, but it will make things faster. And there's, again, we're doing 2 mailings like we've been doing, so there's 2 bills for each mailing and 2 envelopes. And if you don't use your envelopes, bring them back, we'll reuse them. So,
Okay.
tax bills. I'm going to be bringing, I've been talking with Chief Boynton, the new fire chief. regarding his analysis of the operations over there. He's looking at everything, everything that his department does. One of the things that he's flagged as a possible cost savings is a change in the way that we do our equipment maintenance, vehicle maintenance. So he's putting together, he's already got some ideas on that, and so we'll be coming forth probably at the next meeting with a more formal recommendation to change the way that we do our vehicle maintenance. We spend a lot of money sending out for specialized maintenance for fire apparatus, so he thinks that there's a better way to skin that cat, some things that he's done in other communities that he's worked in. So we'll be looking at that, talking about that in the coming weeks. So I can keep going, or if you want to jump back to where we were.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, if you want to continue and get those, your updates.
Okay. We've had a number of conversations with the water department about their collections process, and I did receive, it came in after the agenda was posted the other day. Otherwise, I would have put it on, and I can put it on an upcoming meeting if the board would like to talk about it. But the Board of Water Commissioners has voted to transfer collections over here to Town Hall. No timetable yet. We still have to work out what the effect is going to be, what the costs are going to be for us. But that's an important thing in addressing some of the issues that the auditors have raised over the last couple of years. So they're also going to be going to a lockbox service. So payments for them will be, at a future point, will be sent off-site to a processing center. And then another item, and I emailed the board members yesterday, we received our bond rating yesterday from Moody's. They've reinstated our AA3 rating, which is the rating that the town has had for quite a number of years. We've been working on this, the finance team and I have been working on this for a while now. We were confident that we were going to be successful in getting our rating back to where it was in the past, and we received that good news yesterday. So very pleased
That's
about
wonderful.
that. We'll be, as we know, town meeting appropriated or authorized us to go out and borrow for some capital items, so we'll be doing that over the coming months.
Excellent.
And I think that's it.
All right.
Hey, if you could record that I joined the meeting, please.
I'm happy to relinquish the chair to our illustrious
I'm sure you did
chairperson.
just fine. Sorry I was late, folks.
We jumped all over the place. 'cause
Yeah, you want to check off what we've done for?
we've done most of the agenda.
Well, maybe you should be chair.
All the mundane things we...
Okay, so all of 1 points are done.
Yep. I'll read, why don't I read them to you? We've done 3.1, we have done 3.3, we have done 3.8, 3.9, 3.10.
Was I that late?
They were very just mundane things. 3.11.
0.
Oh, no, sorry, no, we have not done 3.10. 3.11, 3.12, 3.13, 3.14, 3.15, and... Oh, no, sorry, not 3.14. Sorry, I'm on a roll.
Which one?
Not 3.14.
Not.
And we did 4.1, 5.2, and then we added a 3.16, and that was to close town hall and non-essential offices at 1 p.m. on the 3rd of July.
Did you vote on that already?
We did.
Yeah, we didn't do 3.15, Sue. We just did the primary.
Okay, so 14 and 15 still have to be,
14's all set.
No, 14.
I mean, 15's all set for the state primary election,
14.
but 14 we still need to discuss.
all right, so we'll go back and
Yep.
review that
Yes.
then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So basically shuffle your packet, and that's about where we are.
Great. Okay, then, wow, sorry, Board of Health folks. Board of Health to discuss FY15 curbside trash and recycling program.
Thank you. Christian Oda, Chairman of the Board of Health. Thank you for having us tonight. We want to come up, July 1st, we were supposed to start our new contract with Shaw's that would bring us down to 2 barrels per household per week. Same thing, the recycling would stay the same. That would still be every other week. 2 meetings ago, Jim made a motion that we do not go to the new contract and that we stick with the old contract, which was the 3-barrel limit. Didn't get a second on the motion, so the motion was changed to go to the new contract, but amend the barrel limit back to 3. Because there's things in the contract that pickups at the recycling center that are a positive for the town. So decided that to go to the new contract, amend to the 2 barrels, and bring it to, see if we can bring it to the special town meeting in July that they're holding for the oil pipeline discussion, and put it to a vote of the town to see if the townspeople would like to go to the 2-barrel or stay with 3. So we're here tonight, and I'd like to give you just a little bit more history. Basically, we're here tonight to see if we can bring that to the town in July at the special town meeting, and let the town decide. Following that meeting, we had another Board of Health meeting with Shaw's. They came in to talk to us, and they have no issue because they would make more money. So they are okay with staying with the 3 barrels, not going down to 2. The way the contract works, the new one that was negotiated and signed for this fiscal year, we pay a base rate to Shaw of $434,000. So that is for them to run their trucks. Now, when they come to your house, any trash that they pick up in those barrels, we pay $73 for every ton that they dump of the trash. For any of your recycling, paper, or your mingled, your plastics and tin cans, there is no fee for that. So above the base rate, what we pay for is what you put in your trash can. The recycling is free to get rid of. So what we were trying to do was go to the 2-barrel, so hopefully people will recycle more than they do now and help keep our numbers in check. It also, in color, there's certain, when the state has certain grant programs, that lower limit, it's actually 64 gallons, is where we're able to do grants and sometimes get some benefits from the state. But mostly want to go with the 2 barrels to try and control the cost. So we looked at some numbers. Carolyn ran some more numbers today, and there would be no additional cost. We would be within our budget, the $625,000, even if Shaw's was allowed to pick up the 3 barrels for this coming year. Because we generally run, I pulled the numbers from calendar year 13, which was actually when we had 4 barrels for half the year and 3 barrels for the rest of the year, and we were at 2,600 tons. So if you use that number, which is really a worst case, we're just under our $625,000 budget. So we're here tonight to bring this question to the voters of the town and to figure out how we can do that.
Do you have any questions?
No, I attended both of the Board of Health's meeting that they've had regarding it, and that what I understood from it is because they've had so much feedback from citizens, they wanted to have like a non-binding vote asking them.
Well, part of the motion was we've delayed implementation of this contract. So there's still, until that town meeting, they're still
Yes.
going to pick up the 3 barrels. So I don't know the verbiage of binding or non-binding, but whatever the vote is at that meeting is how we will proceed.
You're looking for direction from the taxpayers as to go with the 2 or 3.
Yes, because it's their money.
Mhm.
So.
Colin, did you have anything? The only reservation I have about the special town meeting coming up is that it was a petition we were petitioned by 200 and some odd residents for the pipeline and for a non-binding resolution on the pipeline, and I'm just hesitant to open the floodgates for all the departments to start, throwing warrants, motions, and things into the mix. It's more of a comment rather than a.
I'd like to back up just a little bit. I'm a bit confused about the cost, okay? Because one of the things that I understood was that going to the new contract, the currently signed contract, was that it was going to offset what we thought might be increases. And that was why the Board of Health had originally gone with that first contract, gone with the contract of reducing it to the 2 bags. I'm having trouble understanding how going up to 3 bags would not increase our tipping fees.
It will, if people put out more trash, we're going to pay more money.
Okay, so if we're going to pay more money, where is that money coming from?
If you look at the numbers historically, our trash budget is $625,000. If you use the numbers of how much trash gets picked up when there's 3 barrels, we're gonna be just under that. The thought process was, just like you're saying, if we go to a 2-barrel limit and people are more aware of what they're recycling and what they're not, that tonnage would go down because your items would go in recycling, which there's no fee for.
So I just want to make sure I understand. You said that the budget number was 650?
625.
625. And so what did we do? Level fund the budget from the year before because we didn't know how much it would go down? Okay.
And we knew that the haul price was going up.
And we knew that the haul price was going up. So we put some extra in there, so to speak.
Yeah, because we don't,
Because
we try and
we
budget.
couldn't estimate something that was unknown at the time.
Correct.
Andy, from a budget perspective, I'll be honest with you, my biggest concern is that everybody went to the town meeting and we talked about it and this was the budget and the hope was that it was going to save us money. And that was what folks voted on in April. So my hesitation is going back to them and saying, oh, well, we're going to increase it. The first question that I've gotten is the money part. So as long as the money part is okay,
Yeah. But that's the thing that for this year it's fine. But if you go.
And how many years is this contract for?
It's only for 1 year. Because we wanted to see, originally this year, like we talked about, we were gonna go out for a longer length contract. And the thought was if we did this 1 year with Shaw's at the 2 barrels, that if we tried to bid out a longer length contract, the haulers would know what to expect. Because with the longer length contract, we were looking to go to that 64 gallons. So this was to try and give us a snapshot of what the trash program would look like so that we could bid out a longer term, because the further out you bid it, the much better, you get better prices.
So it was, the 1 year wasn't able to forecast more accurately what you expected for costs?
Yes.
Okay, so at the end of, let's assume that we go forward and we put the limit back to 3.
Yep.
It sounds like there should be enough money for that. At the end of that year, we will have lost any way to estimate for a longer-term contract. So would we be back in the same situation a year from now? I know that we've been making these decisions kind of as we go along, but my hope is that, you know, from a town perspective and from an overall budgeting perspective, that we have some view to what the future holds for us. Are we going to assume that we're always going to remain at 3 bags and not attempt to save some money? I mean, has the board talked about that?
We had talked about and signed the contract for the 2 barrels.
Yes, and we signed the contract as well. Okay, you brought it to us and asked us to sign it. And we entered into that contract. So the town has entered into that contract. And I want to be sure, before we talk about amending a contract, that there's some kind of a long-term plan. I'm just asking, not as a selectman, I'm asking as a citizen.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yes, please.
I was informed that I didn't have the opportunity to speak this evening, so I wanted to make sure I did it politely. You were here, I sat in that chair, Sue.
At the last meeting?
And you heard all the complaint from the town.
I don't want to talk about the complaints, Jim. I know why you were concerned.
Okay, I'm still
Okay.
concerned, and the fact is that if we're going to go to 2 bags, we have to go to weekly recycling. And that's something that can be negotiated. The weekly recycling with a 2-bag limit in the town of Townsend will work. But to put it down their throats for 2 bags and bi-weekly recycling is not going to work. I'm going to be short
Well,
and sweet.
I mean, that was turned down at town meeting.
Well-
Very handily
It
turned down.
wasn't properly approached, in my opinion, but I'm not going to be the dead horse tonight.
Okay. Andy, how are you feeling about this from a...
Andy doesn't have a decision.
Excuse me.
No, excuse me.
Excuse me,
You're
he's
the
the
board
town
selectman. We're the
administrator,
board
and
of health.
I'm asking him from a budgeting perspective how he feels about this.
You're making a mistake. You're the board.
No.
We're the board.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you
Before Andy
something.
came into the
No,
picture, we had
silence
other-
now, silence, okay? He's our town administrator. We pay him to manipulate the numbers. It is not our job to manipulate the
Manipulate was
numbers.
the right word, because you said when
No.
he comes and helps the board of health, it's free. You gave him a $15,000
I'm gonna ask you
raise.
to leave in about 2 minutes, okay? I will not tolerate an outburst. We are not in a conversation. This is to discuss what's being discussed. And if you
Very
stay on
understood.
point, we will. Andy, it sounds like that budget was in there to just, to be able to pay for continue to pay what we were paying.
Correct, and we were, if you think back to about 2 years ago, when we had the failed override, we were trying to close the budget deficit. We had a budget deficit north of $400,000. We looked at all sorts of things that were on the revenue side, on the expenditure side. One of the things that we kept hearing from residents, from employees, also from all corners, was trash. You can do something with trash to try to
Save money.
make savings. So we've been, we had a contract in place, a 3-year contract in place, that has progressively reduced the number of bags or barrels that you can put out every week. Fiscal 14, we were down to 3 barrels, 3 33-gallon barrels. We negotiated a contract over the winter to have a 1-year extension, bring the barrel limit down to 2 per week. There was an increase in the haul cost, the cost that we pay Shaw's to drive around and pick up all the material. That was offset by the anticipated reduction in tonnage and a reduction in the tipping fee. But the haul fee is going up by $38,000. if we were going to stay at 3 barrels with the increased haul fee, we would have increased the budget that went to town meeting. So I'm not comfortable with what's budgeted. We might be okay, but it's hard to say. It's hard to change horses at this point in the game. We've had a contract that we signed, February or March. I don't know why.
Okay, so
I don't know why it's an issue now.
This is a discrepancy, okay? Because, Chris, what I heard you say was that should be enough to cover it, but what Andy just said was, having known the hauler increase, we would have budgeted more money. We would have budgeted some additional money to cover that.
I'm just saying, if you take a worst case of when we were at a 3 and 4 barrel year, which is 2,600 tons, we come in at 623 and change. The trash budget is 625 at the $73. So
Is that
I don't know
including
how Andy.
a hauler increase?
That takes, those numbers take into account the increased haul fee, that $434, $100,000. But the problem becomes next year, because, when your haulage costs go up every year. I mean, it's just a matter of inflation. Whether it's 3% or 2%, whatever it is, come next year, if we're at that 3 barrel limit, we're going to be in excess of that 625,000, which is currently budgeted for curbside.
And what happens if the worst case scenario occurs and prior to the end of the year, you run out of money? Well, we have to kind of be careful about deficit spending. Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Originally, on the original override, the amount that was approved was $850,000. I want to know where that other $225,000 went between the first override and what he just budgeted for rubbish pickup.
What override are you referring to?
The first override in 2000 that established curbside rubbish pickup. That amount was $850,000. Where did the other $225,000 go if his budget is only $625,000 now?
Okay.
And to me, that's not deficit budgeting.
So when there's an override under Proposition 2.5, the override amount, whatever it is, it goes for a specific purpose, or can be for a specific purpose.
Well,
It can
it
be very general. It can be just, we need more money. But in the case like this, where it was very specific, the 850?
850.
I'll trust your numbers. The 850 went to trash in year 1. From year 2 forward, that money that's raised can be used for any other lawful purpose. Doesn't have to be.
Not from my understanding.
Doesn't have to be.
So in other words, you have $225,000 that was passed by the residents of Townsend, okay? And now you're worried about $5,000 here or there on the rubbish pickup, when you've taken $225,000 out of that original amount, and it's just, you're using it for whatever you want to use it for.
It can be used for any lawful purpose. It doesn't, after
How
year
about
1.
going back to the taxpayers?
Well,
Every-
that's
Yeah.
always an opportunity,
Okay.
that's always a possibility, but
The law
after year 1.
on
it can be
2.5
used for anything.
overrides adds to the overall amount that the town is raising and appropriating, even if it's earmarked for something in particular, okay? And what you're allowed to do then is the following year, spend 2.5% of that amount, over 2.5% more of that total amount. So it raises the base of the money that the town takes in. It's not like you take that 200,000 and you put it in a pocket someplace waiting for something else.
So-
It goes into the general expenses of the
So
town the
that money
next
comes
year.
from real estate taxes.
Yes, I
Okay?
understand that.
Everybody seems to have a hero, except the taxpayers. If I go up...
You could do an underwrite if you
Yeah.
like.
If I go up and I cut services to your house, and I'm picking up your rubbish, I'm a private rubbish pickup guy, and I say I'm only picking up one bag now, you gonna pay him the same amount of money? I don't think so.
So you would, if this goes to town meeting,
Well,
obviously vote to leave it the way that it is.
I think 3 bags is fine, and I don't think anybody in this town should have to pay 1 cent, okay, to go and buy a rubbish bag, which is a reverse pay-as-you-go, okay, as far as I'm concerned, when all that money was budgeted a long time ago, and you're not even using the amount that was budgeted. And you're gonna turn around and make people pay in a store to pick up bags?
I'm at a loss.
not
to try
right.
to try to explain it.
What?
I'm at a loss.
What do you mean you're at a loss?
I'm at a loss.
If you go to 2
Can you
bags,
find the words to explain what a 2.5 override does?
I know what a 2.5 override
As an
does.
assessor, you understand.
I was an assessor here. I'm perfectly aware of what a 2.5 override does.
If I can, when, there's, under Prop 2.5, as you know, there's overrides, general operating overrides, and then there are things like debt exclusions and capital exclusions. Debt exclusions and capital exclusions are very much compartmentalized. You're raising a certain sum for a certain period for a specific purpose, to pay off the bond on a new school or build a fire station, or whatever it happens to be. Once it's paid off, the tax rate goes back down, presumably your tax bill goes down. But on a general operating override, if we raise additional funds through the override, it only applies in that first year to whatever the specific purpose was. And then if we can find savings, as we did with trash over the last 15 years, that frees up those funds to be used elsewhere. As Sue said, there is always the opportunity for somebody to come forward with an underride, which would be to peel back that raise and appropriate authority. But until that happens, the town has the authority and the right to raise those funds. And I understand, you don't like it, but.
So let's take something like health insurance for the town, where prior to this year, it was going up by double digits, okay, those percentages. Obviously, if you're trying to stay within a 2.5% increase over last year, we wouldn't have enough money to pay for health insurance. If we're able to save in some places, like through trash collection, then those savings are then allowed to be increased more than 2.5% for that particular issue, for that particular item. It allows you to have that ceiling and, oh, okay, well, you know what? This actually, we're gonna price a decrease. So that means we can increase this one a little bit more. It helps the town. 2.5 overrides help a town to be able to deal with things that increase more than 2.5%.
I understand what you're saying. I know what a 2.5 override is. What I'm saying, Sue, to me, when amount of money is appropriated at a 2.5 override, that money is appropriated for that reason.
But not every year.
If you want to pay health insurance out of that override money that you say between $850 and $625, okay? How are the voters knowing what you're doing with that money? Did you tell someone that you were going to spend X amount of dollars? Because I've never heard anybody at a town meeting tell voters of this town that we're taking the money that we're saving from the rubbish account, okay, because of the override and spending it on health insurance.
It's not,
Cindy.
it's not, one second, Cindy, you're next. It's not dissimilar from your home budget. You have X number of dollars to spend. If you know that you're going to get an increase of, wouldn't it be nice, 5% next year, you have the ability to spend up to 5% more than what you had last year. Okay, this works exactly the same. If your utility bill goes up by 10%, you have to find that somewhere else. Maybe you cut back on your gasoline. Maybe you're able to finish paying off your car so you don't have a car payment and you can pay for that. It's all the same thing.
It's not so. Let me put it this way.
I don't want to argue about it.
Andy,
Say you
how much
understand it,
does
but it's
each
obvious.
town-
Cindy, you had a question or a comment?
How much is each household paying rubbish
Excuse me,
pickup?
it's Cindy's turn.
I just want to make a comment reflected in a different way, that every single year, we have a town meeting in which the entire town, or whoever shows up, but every single taxpayer is invited, and they vote on the budget. And that's the amount, whether there's been previous overrides, the tax levies change when we have an override, the amount that can be raised and appropriated is changed whenever we have an override for anything. But when we go to, every single year, we go to town meeting, and that conversation is had, and every member of the town meeting that goes can vote on what the budget's gonna be. And that includes evaluating how much of that amount that we had in past overrides gets to be redistributed, if you wanna look at it that way. Every year, the taxpayers get to talk about what that budget's gonna be, whether it's health insurance, trash collection, a new cruiser, or cutting the grass. That's a budget that's discussed every single year.
Adding an employee, adding hours, having to decrease hours, all of that is all part of that total budget. And that's that total household money that you have to spend.
So can I quickly answer
Yes.
Tom's prior
Yes.
question? As you know, from being an assessor, everybody's house is valued differently. So on average, it's about $190 per household. But if you have a $400,000 house, you're going to be paying a different amount for trash than somebody with a $200,000 house. But on average, it's about $190.
Okay, so say it's 200, and you cut the rubbish 50% in 1 year, okay? Why shouldn't I get 100 of that back? That's what I'm saying.
Right, and this is the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago, but it doesn't work that way because the tonnage cost is only a portion of the trash budget. So there's two pieces
Well, I
of the
know
trash
you have a
budget.
fixed, right.
The fixed cost, which
truck
is now
fixed.
it's gonna be $434. And then you've got the tonnage cost, which is another $180,000 or $200,000. So it's not that cut and dried.
Carolyn, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the original money. I had taken FY14's trash actuals and figured it out, and I believe that Chris is right. There'll be enough money for this year. So I don't have a problem with them going to town meeting and asking the taxpayers. But to go back to you, Mr. Daly, we try and drive all of our costs down so it comes off of our bottom line. So I've heard from a number of taxpayers that say, hey, we raised the money, we expect the money to be used for that. And I suppose there's an argument where we could lower our taxing ability under our levy, but we need it for the bottom line. So what the Board of Health has done over the last few years is work really hard to reduce our tonnage costs so that we have better savings overall. It's not a legal argument, it's a moral, I guess, not even a moral, ethical argument. You feel that you're being taxed X amount, you want X amount put into the trash budget. But legally, it's not an issue. You only have to use those funds for the first year, as Sue and Andy have explained. I understand what you're saying, but, the school, for example, had an override in '07, $600,000. If the school budget came in under, we'd be using that money in the rest of our budget, off of our bottom line. So it's the same situation in that sense.
Well, I understand what you're saying too, but, I mean, if something is earmarked, to me, it's it should be used for that. Example, you know, your gas tax. Before, they used to be able to spend it on anything they wanted. Now, that gas tax is earmarked for roads and bridges. It can't be used for anything else, period. To me, that's the right way to do it.
And there's an argument to be made for that, but you'd want to get involved in the negotiations with the Board of Health and at town meeting. But to Cindy's point, you know, it is voted on every April, and that would be the time to bring the issue up. I agree with that.
I mean, so basically, if we get back to the original question that Chris came, and the board came to us with.
Sue me at the floor, please.
Well, I'm
I'm
considering
going to be
it.
very polite. I move that we follow Colin and leave the pipeline meeting to the pipeline, and we take the Board of Health issue to the town meeting in the fall.
If we don't, it doesn't matter to me personally. I think it's more appropriate for the fall. My major concern was running out of money.
So what would the Board of Health think about, you know, 6 months roughly till, how many months till the fall town meeting? 4 or 5?
About 5.
5. How would the board feel about trying the 2-bag limit just until the fall, and then we'll revisit it and bring it before the voters then, so that we can see how it went? It's not a long period of time. I mean, I'm just curious about the Board of Health's opinion and my fellow
Well, so
selectmen's
that's one
opinion.
suggestion. Another one that's coming to my mind is, instead of doing it at this town meeting, putting it off to the fall might give you a feel for what is it costing you per month with the 3 bags, leaving it at the 3 bags, and give you more of an ability,
Stick with 2.
2 bags of
whatever the old
con-
one was.
The old one was 3.
The old one was
The
3,
motion that Jim
okay?
made was to
So,
stick with the 3.
so what I'm saying is, leave it at the 3 until the fall meeting. Between now and then, you can then watch what your costs really are with your, you know, for your tonnage, for everything else. Because that's also gonna tell us, are we gonna have enough money by the end of the year? Okay, what I'd personally like, and I, you know, I'm just asking it as a citizen, is if the Board of Health can kind of think beyond the year and start thinking about strategically what might the plans be. Because I guess we could go on paying the exact same amount and not worry about saving money, but I think from the citizens that I've heard from, and I hear from regularly each year when we say money is tight, one of the suggestions that I hear is, why don't we just go for pay as you throw? So there is a population that, believe it or not, there are people that think that way, okay? And I do get.
If you do, I want my money back.
But I don't know, I mean,
Just quickly, I am not in favor of pay as you throw, because there's certain.
I don't wanna go down
Yeah,
that road.
I don't wanna go down that road.
I'm just
but
saying, there's other things too.
Jim and Michelle are the ones who voted in favor.
No, your board.
I'm sorry.
Majority of the board
Yes, the
voted.
majority of the board
okay?
voted, so my point is, if they are okay with waiting to the fall town meeting, if that's the route you want to go, so that we don't step on somebody's toes at the pipeline meeting and stay at the 3, then, I mean, that's, a motion was made to bring it to the people of the town, and it's their money, and if you want to do that, I was part of the negotiations on the 2-barrel. I'd like to implement it June 1st, but, you know, other motions were made, and the board, as you say, has brought this forward, and if town meeting in the fall is what we need to do, then let's just do that and be done with it.
I think that would also, I mean, it would also give the Finance Committee a chance to talk about it, because I don't know if they've had a chance to talk about it. Cindy?
No, I think, I'd just like to throw another point in to consider I mean, we won't impact what we actually do as far as meetings, but we also have the potential for loss of revenue from not going, or from going, if we went to 2 bags, there might be potential revenue, because if people actually cut back to 2 bags, then we're not going to have the tonnage. Or we could have the tonnage, but we'll have some people that will actually shrink what they throw away, and some people will buy the bags. So we're going to lose revenue from purchasing the bags and spend more money on tonnage possibly. So we're going to lose. We may have enough money to pay for the 3 bags to continue, but we also have the potential, I'm not talking gazillions of dollars here, but there's a potential of some loss of revenue from going to 2 bags.
Squeezing the balloon, so to speak. You had a question?
I have a comment. I have 4 children living at home, and everybody looks at me and says, wow, you've got a lot of kids. And tonight I'm putting 1 bag of trash out, and last week I put out 1 bag of trash. And people look at me and say, wow, you've got a lot of kids. But I don't know, if a family of 6 can put out 1 bag, can other people? And I can't do that every day, because, you know, in the springtime, there's the gremlins that bring stuff from everybody else's yard and hides under the snow. My wife tells me it's stuff I didn't pick up, but I've never seen it before in my life. So, you know, the springtime, there's more. You know, there's sometimes 3 in front of my house, but the last couple of weeks with the new regulations, I've put out 1 every night. So 1 on Tuesday nights, 1 bag on Tuesday nights. So, and when I heard that we were going to 2 bags, my wife and I both sat there and fumed and swore about the Board of Health and how awful they were. And then I had to make Genova's husband, so stop. That's nice thing.
Call.
So you had made a point about, you know, kind of tracking numbers between now and the fall meeting, but don't we already have that information?
Well,
Because we've been,
not with the increase.
3
though.
we do.
Pardon me? With 3.
With 3, for fiscal 14, we were at 3 bags a week. 3 barrels a week.
And the increase in the
And we were
hauling.
supposed, yeah, the increased cost in the haul, we know what that's going to be. That's a fixed price.
Okay.
So it's the tonnage is the unknown, or the harder to predict.
and basically what I had said before is that I don't know, I mean, how, like I said, how would the board feel about it, using as a litmus test 2 bags until that fall town meeting? See, because I know, you know, I've spoken to residents about this, and I know a family who's got more than 4 kids, all under 18, and they produce 2 bags a week.
I would be fine with the 3 barrels, because honestly, there's been enough talk that people who are gonna recycle, they aren't gonna fill up 3 barrels just because they can. The people who are gonna recycle, you know, there's been enough talk that I think, you know, people will probably just choose to do the right thing.
So it becomes more the folks that aren't inclined to recycle, or and don't want to be challenged about putting out more than 2.
So,
I'd love to see this go to a vote. I don't care when it does, but Carolyn.
The only thing that I'm concerned about is we go to the 3 bags and then you have the purple overflow bags. If I was going to clean out my basement, would it be cheaper for me to buy $50 worth of purple bags than to rent my own dumpster? That, I think, where we might get off.
I didn't think that with
We
leaving
would
it
have
the
the
way it
overflow
was,
bags.
you wouldn't have had them,
well,
right?
if we went to the new contract and just amended the bag number,
Back to
those
3.
overflow bags would still be
Good.
good. But the amount,
These are
pretty much
bags
the
that have
amount
been
you-
sold already?
they have been sold already, and that's the issue. So people have paid for bags that if we do away with that program, they can't.
Oh, I understand that, but in terms
Plus,
of...
you're not gonna be cleaning out your barn with those purple bags. You'd be better off just getting a dumpster.
Well, it would definitely be a good way to watch to see how much overflow really is necessary, but that's the only thing that I would be worried about
Because the town has survived for a year with no overflow bags and everybody having
Yeah,
3
exactly.
barrels, so.
That's why I was nervous with going to the 3 bags and the overflow, because you actually have the potential to get rid of more trash than we did this past year.
But the bags will pay for that.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I did talk to Kim. You guys are going to put that in the revolving account, your recycling revolving account, so you can pull it back out. So that would offset if it did. So that would be good.
What if a resident wanted a refund? Like if they bought bags in kind of in preparation for this?
Yeah,
Give it to them.
Yeah.
You
Give
can't.
it back.
You can't.
So are we gonna go to the fall town meeting now and not interrupt the pipeline meeting?
It's fine with me, whatever the Board of Health would like to do, I'd support.
Are we in session right now, Chairman?
Are you posted?
We're not posted.
We're not posted. Well, I'm gonna make a suggestion to the board in an unposted schedule that we wait for the fall town meeting, do some more research on what's going on, and get our ducks in a row much better than they are right now.
see,
Because this
okay, so-
Quantico's going dry.
I mean, there's no motion on the floor, so we're just simply not going to make a motion then tonight. Okay?
So do we, one question.
Stay at 3.
Do we need to revisit?
We'll wait till we hear back from you, from an
Well, we-
official meeting.
We gotta do more research, Mr. Chairman, and we'll contact the selectmen for
Well,
town meeting in the fall.
No, you guys
The vote
just
that
have
you'd like
to,
to make tonight, you should make it a regular posted meeting.
you just
Yeah.
need to make that and then prepare for the fall, if that's the way that you guys vote, okay? You just don't have to worry about this particular town meeting.
Okay, so do we need to come back here again or no?
No.
Not that I don't love spending my time here.
Yes, I No, no, you don't. It'll just be wait for the fall town
So we would just vote in a posted
meeting.
meeting that we want to go to the fall.
Uh-huh. And Shaw's is okay with the amendment and,
They make more money. Why wouldn't they?
okay, and legal, does legal need to do something with the contract to do that amendment and make it a legal amendment?
Well, it's really kind of an administrative function of the Board of Health as the agency that oversees the trash contract. If they want to instruct the hauler to pick up 3 bags rather than 2, then I don't think that we need to involve legal counsel in it.
Okay,
All right. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
You did the minutes, no?
Yep, we're at 3.2.
3.2, review draft housing production plan prepared by the Townsend Housing Authority. Anyone here? No?
No, they forwarded this to us, and they did say that they're more than happy to come in and talk to the board if you would like to. It is, I did read through it. It appears to be a very good, comprehensive plan for the development and retention of affordable housing units. But it might not be the worst idea in the world for the Board of Selectmen to invite the Housing Authority in and get a more formal presentation. Also, it does a good job of presenting their findings to the public.
So I'm inclined to invite the Housing Authority in to discuss this and have a joint meeting with them.
How does that sound to you, Carolyn?
Oh, it's fine with me. It was very well written. It's very similar to our last affordable housing plan. I have no issues with having them in if.
Yeah,
both
I mean,
of
I
you
think
would
it's a good idea because then everyone gets to hear the same message.
Yeah, the statistics in it were kind of eye-opening. I think the only thing I wouldn't support in the whole plan, and it's not that I wouldn't support it in the plan, I'd probably go to the planning board and fight it, is taking some of our non-conforming small lots and putting homes on it. But other than that, I thought it was very well done.
Was selling the Squanicook in that proposal?
Absolutely.
No, just part of it.
That would make nice elderly housing.
If we can sell the Brooklyn Bridge, you think I can sell the
So,
river?
In terms of this plan, is this something that we eventually need to vote to accept?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
What's
it
the
might,
filing deadline? I'm sorry. Do they have a filing deadline?
I don't believe that they do.
so why don't we do as you and Colin suggested?
Okay.
Invite them in, and then they can,
Well, the previous plan expired December of 2011, so as long as we're sure that it doesn't, they're not in any type of time crunch, I don't have an issue with that.
okay. I just think it would be really nice for the public to.
Well, they might be trying to apply for grant money or something, that's why I said that.
Okay,
I'll check with Karen on that.
thank you. And it does look like a substantial report.
So we did 3.3.
We're on 3.4.
Okay, review correspondence from Carolyn Smart regarding the Energy Committee proposed Sustainability Committee Route 119 sidewalk and annual training. I asked for this to be on the agenda because, and just to let folks know, when there are emails from any one of the board members to like Andy, he may forward them to us, but there is not a conversation that takes place via email because that would be in violation of the open meeting law. So I know Carolyn had sent these reports to us. I think this particular one you put in our mailboxes.
No, this was at our last meeting, where it had gone so long, this is what I was gonna bring up, and
That's
I said,
right. This
here, you
one
guys
was.
wanna read this
Yes,
over?
okay,
And
so she brought a report.
This was up under
She-
updates.
She
yeah.
brought something to the meeting in this particular situation. There's more than one here. And we had not had a chance to review it or discuss it, so we're bringing it up again tonight.
Well, these were really just my notes, and I was gonna talk about them, but the meeting had been so long, so, and I had
I
actually
understand.
typed it up for myself, but I'm glad you put it on, thank you.
Well, I put it on because I thought that there were things in here worth pulling out. The first was the Energy Committee, and you had talked to us about your plan to go to the Energy Committee meeting.
Yes, yeah.
And it looks like you found that that was a worthwhile endeavor. Again, you know, what we talked about initially when you said you were going was, you know, you're not a representative of the board there, but that's fine, okay, because it's good for us to hear what all of these committees and
These are
boards
just
have
my
to say.
ideas, you know,
Okay.
to help.
I'm going to just pull out a couple things.
Sure. Do you want me to read it in so everyone knows what we're talking about, what I had written, or what I...
Well, you could if you like. Collins, that sound all right to you?
Sounds fine to me.
Okay.
These are just my notes, so it's...
So just on the first section.
Yes. I attended the meeting of the Energy Committee last week. As most are aware, the town needs to meet certain energy reductions in order to maintain its green community status and be eligible for future grant money and programs. The Energy Committee, along with Karen Chapman, has worked tirelessly on behalf of the town to reduce energy consumption by completing projects in order to help us meet these goals. I feel we as a board could have an important role in helping the committee to help us achieve these goals. I would like to ask the board's support in requesting that the town administrator, in conjunction with the Energy Committee, conduct some department head and employee meetings to assist with educating our staff on the situation the town faces and to solicit feedback or additional ideas. I'd also like the board to consider putting this on an agenda for a discussion regarding the formulation of a gasoline consumption policy with the potential goal of reducing the amount of consumption. And to assist with that, I was hoping Colin, as the highway elected boards rep, could meet with the water commissioners to see if they would be open to adding an electric car to the capital plan. This fall for the readings of the newly installed radio read system and possibly for use by the superintendent in daily transportation needs. I was also hoping the public safety rep Sue could meet with fire police departments so we can better understand their gas consumption practices or policies and to see if the fire department would be open to the idea of obtaining an electric or hybrid vehicle for use for daily inspections and transportation needs.
Okay, so what it sounds to me like is that you would like to discuss the board creating, it sounds like this is something that's important to you in terms of a goal for the town. Okay?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and tell me if I'm not interpreting it correctly.
Okay.
Okay? And one of the things would be to create a gasoline consumption policy.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
talked about that
Okay,
before.
so I look at that as, okay, that's a potential goal. And you know what, in terms of goal setting, we started talking about that several meetings ago and never got back to it. So it's a good time, I think, to start the board talking about, well, what are the goals? So obviously, you got one up on me because you have
Well,
one
these
on
are
the
just
list.
my
and-
thoughts
Well,
for
no, you
discussion,
have
but-
one on the list, okay? So obviously, that's on Carolyn's list. Colin, I would expect that you're gonna bring some goals back to the board, and I have a few things that I've been thinking about as well. So maybe we should set a goal-setting meeting where we can talk about things like this and including this, okay? Now, in terms of the second part of the, where you get into kind of the hows,
Yeah, just my thoughts again.
I understand and I appreciate it, but it really is important for us as board members not to get involved in the day-to-day
Well, I don't consider that
of the
day-to-day.
town. Well, I consider sitting with the police chief and going through reports and figuring stuff out, or having Colin do that with the water department. It's like, no, those are the jobs that we pay Andy to do with the department heads. Okay, so if we want a report, then we ask Andy for the report, and Andy and the department heads work on the report. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were already some of this information didn't already exist,
Oh, it does.
because
The police, he's got a fabulous gasoline policy that I thought we could learn about. I understand.
I don't want to do, I think it's important that our board focus on policymaking and direction, and not in the how to get there.
Well, in order
Okay.
to understand policy-making and direction, you need to know and be very familiar with your departments, which is why we have the general government rep, the elected boards rep, and the public safety rep. So we can get to know all of our departments and their needs so that we can help form policy. Now, there's nothing, you absolutely want to use your town administrator as a resource, but I have a disagreement on we should just rely on him for all our information. I personally, you trust but verify, time-honored principles, like to be involved. I like to understand it for myself, and that way I can think outside the box. It's kind of what I've done
But
in
Carolyn,
this.
what you may not do is act as a board member in the day-to-day
And I
workings of the
don't.
town. I'm sorry, there have been several situations where I've heard it, and this is borderline again. We can't get involved in the day-to-day. Now,
We can.
in
Sue,
the 5 years I've been on the board, and in the years that I've been the public safety person, that consists of sitting with the two chiefs separately, usually, and how's it going? What are your challenges? What are the things that you'd like the town to look at? Where do you think we're going? Okay? Do you have any concerns about what the direction is? It is not to sit and do a report with them and to micromanage their business. Now, I really need to ask you, in the charter, it specifically says we should not be involved in the day-to-day workings of the town,
That's correct.
okay? And in the administration.
Absolutely.
What is your definition? How do you interpret administration?
I would not come in here during the day and tell Karen what to do, or tell Kathy Spofford what to do, or any of our employees, or get involved in the day-to-day operations. However, what has been standard in this office the 11 and something years that I've worked here is that the selectmen get to know and understand the needs and the direction of their, and the needs and the desires of their departments, how they operate, so that you can better formulate policy. We've had selectmen at at department head meetings. We've had selectmen, Paul Consemi practically conducted department head meetings. I'm not suggesting I do that. I'm asking that the town administrator do that. So I don't consider anything I'm doing as day-to-day operations. We're supposed to set policy and provide a pathway for the town, and the only way we can do that is if we understand the needs of the town. So one of the goals that, and I remember you talking about this, Sue, with the green communities, is to reduce our energy consumption. So I went and understood where we were on that and some of the challenges that we're facing. So I brought forth ideas. I bring them up under Selectmen's updates and reports. This was supposed to come up under updates and reports, but we had such a long meeting. I just thought I'd give them to you to review. So
No, I
this is not
understand.
day-to-day operations. I'm not in here involved in the day-to-day operations.
Colin?
So,
I mean, I like that, you know, here's something that's important. Gasoline consumption policy. It can go on our list of goals.
to that point, so when I was elected last year, I went around to all the department heads, introduced myself, you know, for the ones, I knew most of them, but for the ones, and said, you know, what are your concerns, what's some things, you know, and I brought them back to the board. You know, either at a meeting or through the town administrator. I think that it's a good idea to do a gasoline consumption policy, or to talk about it, or set it as a goal.
Talk about it.
But I think we should first meet and set these goals, and then move to the next part where we would specifically meet with a department head regarding that goal.
And that's basically
You know-
what I was doing
And that's my
here.
point, though, okay? Getting into the how is beyond what our job is. I want to hear first, what should the policy be? What's our hope? What's our direction for the departments? And then hear the departments and Andy come back to us and say, all right, here's information that we gathered in order to comply with this, or here's some insights into it, et cetera. Okay?
Well, you're taking this too literal, too. These were my notes to talk about. This, I wasn't even going to hand this out. I generally type it out. I might not even brought up. These are my thoughts. So under
Okay.
Board of Selectmen's updates and reports, I was going to say, you know, I met with the Energy Committee, and I just skimmed through the highlights. It was long meeting that night. You can't
it was
take this,
awful.
you can't take this as a literal,
Okay.
and these are just discussion
Okay, I hear you.
highlights that, what I was thinking. You need to have discussion.
I
Okay.
think that,
So let's start with the goals thing, okay? And just not to belabor this, you brought up something about a sustainability committee,
Yes.
um,
Which I've been very vocal
the
about.
formulation of that, basically. Well, there's actually two parts to that.
I know we had
So-
talked about it under my updates and reports.
Yeah.
if I may, the next, all the things that you put on here, I feel like is a discussion for a meeting, a work session for goals for the board.
That would be great.
I think they're worth discussing.
That we can, all three of us can bring our ideas to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about them and vote on them as a board, whether it's something that we feel we need to pursue.
Absolutely, and that's why these are just my thoughts that I would bring up under
Okay.
updates and reports.
So why don't we
I'm not saying
consider
it should be
these-
done, just,
These are the beginning of your list, so we have to work to get our
Exactly.
list
Think of it
done.
that way.
Okay, then we'll think of it that way. That's perfectly, that makes perfect sense, okay?
yeah, so I mean, I apologize if you took it like I was
Well, it
giving a
seems as
report,
though-
but these are just
Well,
my...
no, it seemed as though what I was reading was, well, here's the problem and here's my solution, and go do it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't even read it verbatim when I was,
Okay.
I'm there. These
All
are
right.
just, this was just, I can't read my handwriting, when I was scribbling, so these are just my thoughts.
Okay, that's fine.
So I don't know how
When-
much of it I would have
So,
read.
When would be a good time for?
After vacation.
So, well, then I'm going on vacation after you go on vacation.
No, and that's fine, we don't
So
have to
maybe
address that right away, I'm
the
gonna
fall.
come up with
You're looking
more,
at August.
there's no doubt.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not gonna happen in July. There's too
Yeah.
much other things going on.
and
too many
August
other
for
things.
me is, I'm gonna be back and forth to Maine
And
the
I'd like-
entire month, so.
And I'd like the finance committee on the sustainability committee, we'd actually spoke
Well,
about
I
it,
don't
was
think
on
we're
the
there
finance
yet.
committee.
Relax.
Well,
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I'm talking about work sessions, so.
I know.
But I think the board needs to set,
I'm not saying a work session, I'm saying actually as an agenda item,
Yeah.
setting goals for the year, okay? And part of that is gonna have to be prioritizing those as well. What
Sounds
do we
like a
think
plan.
is doable and what do we think is not? And I think probably mid-August is a good time to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay? So, Andy, you know everybody's schedule, maybe you can figure out when
He
that.
does, I don't even know my own schedule.
He knows mine.
I'll make it up for you,
You're,
Colin.
you're, could you make me a policy on that?
Okay.
Speaking of goals and information, did you meet with the rail trail? Was that meeting today? I forgot to ask. The
Me?
coalition meeting?
Oh, it wasn't rail trail, it was
I mean, not rail
pipeline.
trail, oh my God, pipeline.
Yeah.
I just was looking
Yeah,
at
it was really kind of a formulation meeting, kind of, you know, what's our goal and stuff like that. That's about it. More to come. They're meeting again when I'm on vacation, so.
You're not gonna come back
Andy
for it?
will, Andy, no, Andy,
Not that long a ride.
no, thank you.
They
No.
let you have a vacation? What's wrong with
Yeah, well,
this
they-
board?
Yeah, they
See what
pay
you're
me,
missing out on,
pay me
Tom?
so much, I can afford to go on vacation. Okay, so Carolyn, we're done with 3.4. 3.5, okay, now here's an email, okay, and this is regarding capital plan.
Yes.
While we really do have to, I understand from your note that you were expecting a legal opinion.
No response regarding it, but you did say, I mean, I did take the time to type up the transcript that we'd be hearing back from him, that he was on vacation, and I hadn't heard anything from him. So I sent an email saying I just wanted to, you know, let you know that I, you know, make sure that you received the packet of information that I sent to you. Well, you have the email there in front of you. And he wrote back and said, "Hello, Carolyn, I did receive your opinion request. However, I was advised by the town administrator's office this issue had been discussed at the June 3rd meeting and that the majority of board did not support asking town council for a formal opinion on the subject." No, we didn't discuss asking a formal opinion on the subject, but you did say that we'd be hearing back from town
Well-
council regarding it.
Right, what I meant when I said that was, he's on vacation now, I'm sure he's gonna call and say, what's this? Okay, so apparently he did, and I'm sorry, but when you sent that original letter, I thought you were asking for a legal
I was asking for a copy of it, of the opinion that would support your actions taken at town meeting, because we had three
Oh,
legal
okay,
opinions
and
saying
then-
that we couldn't.
And then that was when Andy said he would distribute the emails that came from the
Yeah,
attorney.
and you said that would be fine for now, and we'll be hearing from Brian when he gets back from vacation.
Okay, so so did you get those emails, copies of those emails?
Yes, yeah, yeah, and it didn't address the article, just like he thought it wasn't going to. For the warrant.
I'm not willing to take any time on the part of the attorneys. They looked at,
But could we have a discussion about town council?
what is
Think
the
it would be a good
discussion?
idea. Well, you know, I've worked in this office for a long time, and there's never been a time that I've ever seen that a selectman wasn't able to contact town council. And a couple of our selectmen contacted them all the time. I know, Sue, that you've contacted them whenever you needed to. We appoint them, they work for us, and we have to make important decisions. So if we're unclear or we're confused about anything, that, you know, it's always been standard practice for us to talk to town council. It seems to have changed after I got elected. And I don't mean that as sarcastic or rude or unprofessional, but, you know, we could straighten all this out if I just called him.
Colin?
Again, right after I was elected, I contacted town council for a training. They do a free training on, for new selectmen and
I
that
know.
sort of thing. But that's the only conversation I've ever had with them, and it had nothing to do with specific policy or specific items. It was more of they conducted a training with me, that's it. I didn't ask any specific questions, but they only, except for, are we unusual in the Commonwealth to make sure that we don't have any extra costs added to our bill, or legal bills, that we, as a board, vote, and then we go through the town administrator. I was told we are not unusual. It is more unusual for individual selectmen to be contacting town council.
And that's fine, but, you know, Colin, just last month, you contacted town council, and you got a written opinion to the tune of $500, and I was a selectman then, and we never talked about it, we never voted on it. And if we go through some other bills, we'll find a lot of that same situation.
Is this in regards to the weather about the fire department? Andy?
I've never seen it.
Which,
It's,
I guess so.
because I had offhandedly said in earshot of town council about a issue with conflict of interest, and I contacted the ethics commission, and you were sitting there, I was telling you at the same time. I didn't think that I was asking for an opinion.
Yeah, he charged us $500 for it.
Well,
And I didn't want to call you, I wasn't
that was
trying
a
to call
mistake.
you
Well,
out
it
on the
sounds
carpet.
like you are, Carolyn.
No, but I'm
And
just saying
wait, no,
that.
let me speak for a second. Because if I had known that he was going to be charging us for an opinion, I would have said, well, we have to go to the board for that. It was a miscommunication.
Well, I mean, we certainly can make our own policy regarding town council. I don't like my information filtered. So if I'm not satisfied with something the council says that, and I can't get clarification for it, that means I have to go to other sources, like the Attorney General's office, or, you know, the DOR, or other sources, and that doesn't bode well for our community either.
I mean, I don't think that anyone is prohibited from calling the attorney.
Yeah, that's the way
Okay.
it's always been.
However, there've been several back and forth conversations, and via email. And the gist of it ends up being that you disagree with town council.
I don't know if I disagree. I haven't been able
Well,
to talk to him.
Not on this particular one, but on another one.
Yes.
And to what end is my question. It's like, okay,
Well, it's two different issues. One of them, we're probably going to end up agreeing to disagree, because what is the point other than that? This particular one, if there's not, you said there's no legal, I understand that there's no legal opinion on the capital plan, correct? So a phone call could clear this up.
I'm inclined to say, fine, go ahead, make a phone call. However,
Now, I could understand.
it's board business at this point. Okay?
Well,
It
I seem to be
becomes-
the only one with a
but-
problem, though.
Yes, I understand that, too. I would prefer, I would really prefer not to involve town council. I mean, we've gotten, they review the warrants. They review the articles. They often come back and give us changes that they recommend.
understand how
They
it
sit with us at town meeting and talk with the moderator about how things need to be worded.
Well,
I guess what I'm saying, Carolyn, is, you know what? If you have a problem with what the town voted and how we voted, then, you know, do what you gotta do.
But that's
But
not,
not as a
that's not the
selectman.
issue. That's not the issue. I have no problem with what the town voted. I had no problem with the wording of the warrant article, no problem with the wording of the motion. It's the authorization and the process in our bylaw. There's two, you kind of put both issues together. There's nothing wrong with the motion the way it was worded. There was nothing wrong in structure of the capital plan that was there. The problem was that our bylaw was not followed, and we have 3 legal opinions on file that state, you know what they state, that the capital planning has to review the projects before the selectmen can approve the
Okay,
budget.
so I want to
So-
talk about that for a minute, okay? Because you keep saying the capital plan the capital planning committee did not review those things.
Yes.
I guess it's a semantic, and it depends on how you interpret the word review. If by review you mean prioritize and rank and all of that, then maybe you didn't do it. But by charter, the capital planning committee is charged with handing us a 5-year plan that they, I assume, have discussed thoroughly. If in fact capital planning did not review the things that were in the documents that we received, then in fact it was the capital planning committee that didn't fulfill the requirements of the charter.
No, actually, in your report, it says specifically what the 5-year program is, the report that we submit to you every year. If you read it, Sue, it was specifically saying,
Carolyn,
let me just finish.
I
Please
don't-
interrupt me. I don't want to interrupt you. Let's be respectful of each other.
I don't want to go down that rat hole again.
No, you bring these things up, and they're not exactly accurate, so I find myself having difficulty.
What do you want me to do? What do you want us to do? What would make you
Give me
happy?
authorization to contact town council.
Go ahead. As far as I'm concerned, contact
So
town
long
council.
as
I don't
they're
care.
not doing a written legal
Yes,
opinion.
I agree. I wouldn't charge the town that kind of money without.
Good luck to town council understanding what you're asking, because I don't understand, because it goes around and around and around.
That's why I think it'd be best if I talked to town council, because I'm sure he would understand.
Even though, the only point I have to make, though, is that Attorney Riley...
No, see, it
And
gets,
he can contact Andy afterwards with the content
it
of our
gets
discussion.
back into he said, she said. And the point was, you wrote that original letter, signed it as a selectman, but it wasn't coming from the selectmen. Okay?
Yes, we went round and round about my title. That's fine. When I got that, and I won't use that I'm a member of the Board of Selectmen on it. Say I'm a member of the Capital Planning Committee. Say I'm a taxpayer of the town of Townsend. So, that's resolved, right? And whatever we discuss, whatever I discuss with town council, I'll be sure that he has Andy be made aware of it.
I still don't understand to what end, but
Maybe it'll end it. Maybe he will give me the information that I need to understand, so.
oh, I doubt that, but
Okay.
okay.
So next, I guess.
Sue,
That was my opinion.
I just wanted to, again, I've said this, I think, at every time this has come up, when town council gets our warrants, they review all the
I know, that's
articles
what I just
against
said.
the bylaws, correct?
That's what I just said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Well, no, I mean, I said they review it. I am assuming that they're looking at it in terms of the bylaws.
Right.
Yeah, to form and structure, they don't know where the capital plan came from or who did the motion. So, like I said, I didn't have a problem with the wording of the motion.
Do you have a problem with Carolyn talking with the attorney?
As long as there's no written cost involved.
Promise, that will not happen.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Just so you're clear, there'll be a cost. Every phone call, there's a cost.
Oh, yeah, there's a cost, but
It's a
it's
lesser
not like,
cost than if there's a
it's not
written
like a
opinion.
legal
Exactly.
opinion. And
And one thing,
Carolyn, the only thing that I would ask is that you be respectful of the fact that you're talking to the attorneys, and that perhaps you can do it from home,
Absolutely.
okay?
I wouldn't do it anywhere else. Of course I'll be respectful. I've worked with Coleman and Page for many years.
Well, no, I just meant, we shouldn't be using, I suppose if you wanted to go into Karen's office and ask Karen to use that phone, that would be fine.
Use my cell phone, that's fine.
so I just wanted to say one thing. Andy, could you just mention to town council that I had no idea he was going to be doing a legal opinion?
Yeah, you
On
should
that
see
matter?
it, if you didn't even know about it.
I will.
Thank you.
Oh, God. 3.6, discuss inquiry from Carolyn Smart questioning whether the purchase of police cruisers was properly approved at the May 6, 2014 annual town meeting.
So, I had mentioned a couple weeks ago that I had concerns about that, and I actually met with Kim, and she said, it really is just housekeeping. The cruisers were always on the prior capital plan. I mean, we all agreed that the appropriation was in the tax levy and the operating budget. It is every year, and if you look at the capital plan, I think that number was meant to come over, because it says tax levy. It was just a clerical housekeeping thing, so what she suggested is we just clean it up in the fall, that way our records are clean. I thought that was a great idea, and if everybody's amendable to that, I did leave a message for DOR. I'm sure they're going to be in agreement with that, because it really is a housekeeping issue. The intent was very clear, and the money was appropriated, so it's more of an authorization. That way, if we have an audit, it's clean on our capital plan that the cruisers were on there like they have been for the last 4 years.
I could have sworn they were on there.
I know, I missed it too. I picked up a couple other things.
No,
I didn't notice
I
it.
know I saw cruisers on there.
They're on the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're under the capital plan with a lot of the other projects, but on
Right here.
the approved part, they're not.
They're right here.
Correct.
Cruisers,
Correct.
60 and
Yeah.
64.
They're not on the approved part. We get a lot of projects on that there.
Right, because they're appropriated under the operating budget.
Yes, and that's been the same that it has been for the last
So
3 or
the-
4 years, so.
But the approved would have come out of what you thought was budgeted for capital plan.
Yeah, if you look at like the last 4 or 5 years of these, it's.
So
the
your
cruisers
issue
are
is
on-
simply that it's just
Yeah, it's
not
just
listed.
clear, exactly. And that way we won't get caught up.
Just,
I don't think it matters because it's on here.
it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter to Kim. I asked her when we took our recess. She says if we want to do a housekeeping item, go ahead and do a housekeeping item.
I like nice
She
clean
doesn't have-
records, so.
She doesn't have any issue with the way it's been done, the way it was done in May. So it's completely up to the board if you want to do it. I don't like wasting time, but if you want to do it, we'll do it.
It just sounds a little picky-uni, but to me.
I can run that by Brian too if you want, or we can just, I like nice clean records, so we do our audits, we don't have any issues coming back, so.
Like I said, it doesn't warrant calling the attorneys. If you want to do it, do it.
Okay, good. So. Another.
Okay, 3.7, review correspondence from Carolyn Smart regarding a legal opinion about the appointing authority of the Council on Aging Director. Help me understand what the problem is.
Well, I didn't have a problem. I just said last time, I knew I was going to disagree with it. I only had a few minutes to read it before the meeting, and that I would go through it, and I typed up a response and sent it back to Andy.
So you're questioning,
Yeah, I don't
There.
agree with his
You're
opinion.
You don't
at
questioning the
all.
legal opinion that we did get.
Yes. And I don't agree with that legal opinion at all. And I outlined, so I just wanted you guys to have a copy of it. I asked him to print it out and give it to you. This is why I don't agree. I think it's going to be an agree to disagree type situation, but I wanted you to be aware.
Okay, so it's information and that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to?
Ed has a question.
Yes.
It's just, you're considering it just an information issue and that's it. I'm not fully understanding what's going on. I thought that the Council on Aging, our group, will have selected another group of people to screen the applicants, which we now have in place. And we have a meeting coming up this Thursday. Okay. I understood that from what I read in the bylaws of the town and in the bylaws of the state, this is all new to me. And my impression was that the council would select the individual and then present that individual to you folks for you check off and blessing. It's,
Is that pretty much what?
I was under the impression it was a finalist.
What we've talked about over the last several meetings is that the screening committee that Ed spoke of would bring forth a list of finalists. I think we talked about 3, that the Board of Selectmen would make the final choice on. That's the
well, see,
opinion.
that's where the gray area is. And so now I'm looking at this, revisiting, trying to research this. Val has come in with a bunch of research and pulled out of the town information, and it looks like the Council on Aging makes the final decision based on what the screening committee gives to them. Then they present that candidate to you folks. Is that?
That's the process that I support, and that's the process that I understand, or I understood for the years of working here that it was, but,
I think that's what it is in the charter.
well,
So all I want to do is get
The
it
legal attorney
clarified.
disagrees with that.
You know, I'm willing to do whatever I'm told to do.
Maybe it's, again, you know, what's the definition of the word appoint?
I think it's, well, council's opinion, town council's opinion, is that the Board of Selectmen makes the final choice. I think, and jump in if I'm speaking out of turn. I think if the screening committee brings forth a couple of names to the council, and then the council comes forward to the board and says, this is the person that we think is best suited, I'm not sure that that's
I don't have a problem with that.
terribly contradictory to what we're talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of semantic, but
Yeah, we can deal with that. And I guess what I want is,
We've already discussed
this process, this process has actually confused me somewhat. Because I read something here that's different, but the end result is to select an individual from the candidates we've got presented to us. There's 10.
If you want to present us with one candidate, I have no problem with that.
and we'll bless it.
All right, that's fine.
I have no problem with it. I have no need to be involved in
See, my,
choosing between one and another.
right, my concern is that this individual that would be working for the town works also for the seniors in this town to make sure that their needs can be met. And seniors need, this is delicate.
Be careful, yes.
I know.
Be very careful. I know.
people who understand seniors.
Yeah, you need someone that has.
Good luck.
You need someone that has, well, yeah, you're right, but you need someone that has the empathy, the understanding, be able to work and be patient and help guide them. A large percentage of the seniors, I know this is probably not flattering, but a computer, isn't that like an underwood? No, it's not, it's a computer. You know what I mean? They don't want to, we've got 2 or 3 computers sitting in the senior center, and you will see some people going there, but you won't see the other group. The younger seniors, the ones that just became, quote, technically a senior, what is it, 62, 65? You know, whatever.
70.
Coming soon for me.
Looking better all the time. You're not a senior, it's just looking better all the time.
Especially if it's my birthday.
I'm digging a hole, aren't I? I'm digging a hole.
I want to wrap this one up, Ed.
So the bottom line is I can present you with one individual and you're going to be happy.
Colin?
Yes, no, yes?
Yes, for me.
Carolyn said she's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Do I have 3 yeses?
Yes.
Yeah, I said fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Anytime
I mean,
somebody else wants to do the work.
We had a conversation several times, and I was under the impression that they were gonna bring a list of candidates, 3 candidates, but what, if they
Oh,
wanna bring
I thought
one?
it was 2, but that's fine. Whatever. But Ed, you know, kind of just, we're teasing you a bit there. I'm sorry. But,
I thought everybody was going to take a turn driving the bus.
no, but, you know, I understand what you're saying. And actually, that's why I thought it was important that we have a couple people at large in the community as being involved in that, so that they can take into account, especially the people who don't get involved with the seniors in town right now.
Right.
You know, we want to make sure that we're looking at the whole audience, not just the ones that are coming.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
I believe we're at 3.10.
We have the alcohol policy, right?
Oh, okay. I had that crossed off, but it wasn't crossed off, huh?
No.
Oh, good. Alcohol in public facilities. We have a draft. Thank you for doing the draft, Andy.
Welcome.
Um,
So it's a, if I can give you a little background first. The policy is fairly, well, it's not terribly binding, which from my notes from the meeting when we talked about this before, the board was looking for some sort of a general framework for how they would approach requests for serving alcohol on public facilities. I did talk to a number of town administrators and town managers in other communities. I believe Air is the only one that responded that does not allow alcohol at town events. The other communities, for the most part, do not have policies in place or separate policies in place, and they typically review them, they said, on a case-by-case basis. The sort of outlier is Groton. Groton owns the country club, I forget what they call it now. It used to be privately owned, and there is a function facility there, and it can be rented out for, I think, for weddings and all sorts of stuff. And the town occasionally holds events there. So they're in a sort of a different category, but the other communities that I heard from, Pepperell, Chelmsford, Hudson, allow them on a, Acton allows them, they all allow them on a case-by-case basis, subject to just a one-day license, one-day liquor license, like we would do for the VFW or any other entity.
So, I have a question. It says alcohol in public facilities. I'm assuming that doesn't include the schools. Can we be specific that it doesn't include the schools?
You could if you wanted to. We don't.
I mean,
when
they
was-
have their own policy
Correct.
about that.
Correct.
But
I think that would trump anything that we had in place. When I was sitting down to write this, I was thinking of facilities that we own and control. So whether it be the library senior center complex or the town common. I thought of the schools, didn't even occur to me.
Because their policy, like you said, would trump.
well, yeah, I just
According
don't
to
want
our-
somebody thinking that they can have a PTO meeting and
Yeah.
have a
And we
wine
don't-
tasting in the school.
You know, we own the Spalding School, but we don't control.
I know. That's why
so-
I have town-owned / managed.
Yeah.
You
And-
know?
And you could change that to make it clear that it only applies to town town-owned and managed facilities.
Colin, you had a question?
It left my mind.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, I got it. Came back.
You're too young for that.
I did speak to somebody who's very active in the library over in Pepperell, and they had mentioned that they hold on a regular basis events like wine tastings and things like that, and there's never been any issues. It's a short duration, it's a fundraiser. It's, they keep it, they've kept it segregated so that the area that they do it in is only 21 and over, that sort of thing. And they said the residents have liked it.
Should there be something in here about ages?
I think it goes without saying, but I don't think it hurts to put it in there.
Could we put it specifically?
There's also nothing in here about hours.
Right, and that would be governed by the one-day license.
No, I don't mean hours for drinking. I mean hours that the facilities would be available for drinking. And the reason I'm bringing that up is one of the things that we talked about with the library senior center, with the town, the meeting hall, was that folks aren't going to be using that during off-business hours, if you will.
That's a good point, Sue.
Okay? And what I don't want is to open up that other can of worms that says, oh, well, so-and-so wants to do this on Monday night, and the library's not open on Monday night, or...
Well, I think you can't really have it during regular hours, because...
And who's going, we're back to that same thing again. Who's going to oversee it?
Well, just like a one-day liquor license, whoever applies for the license is responsible.
No, Colin, get back, let's talk about that, what we ran into with the meeting hall and with scheduling the meeting hall had to do with, there wasn't anybody to make sure that whatever group was using it was going to clean up properly, do all of those things. So what we heard was, no, we're going to just limit it to hours that there is somebody there working, okay? Which means you're limiting to hours of operation.
But what if it's, like, for instance,
Now we're saying the Friends of the Library want to do it, and of course, Friends of the Library have an exception with the library because they're Friends of the Library, okay? So is this policy just for the Friends of the Library then? Carolyn?
Well, you know what?
I mean, what if they want to open a room in town hall?
Well,
and have a party downstairs or next door?
Well, what I was thinking, thank you, Andy, for doing that too. And of course, it started me thinking, and I remembered that we have a one-day liquor license or a one-day license on file. So I came in and saw Karen the other day. It's been a while since I read it, and I looked at it, and a lot of these points that we were trying to make are kind of covered under here. So what I was thinking, and please, Andy, share your thoughts with me, is we'd have another section. It would be one-day licenses for town-owned property or something like that, and we kind of change the application to cover those issues. Not for regular one-day licenses, but we'd have a one-day license application just for town functions, and we can cover a lot of those issues in the application process.
I guess it's really more from a maintenance perspective. Yes.
When I rented the church, the fellowship hall there, what you do is if you don't clean up, you make a deposit and you don't get your money back if you don't clean up. So maybe...
But I mean, just in terms of somebody locking the door afterward.
Can it be an automatic lock? I don't know.
Well, we've been focused on the library and senior center building.
Let's say it were here.
Yeah, let's say it was here. We rent this building out from time to time for various functions. Not a whole heck of a lot, but, and the way that we treat it, frankly, varies depending on who the entity is. If it's somebody that we know, or if it's one of the 1,000 or so people in town that has a key to this building, they let themselves in and they let themselves out and they lock up afterwards.
Oh, God.
If it's somebody that that we don't know so well, we come up with some alternative arrangement. Maybe one time I came up and I opened up. Mark Mercurio has come in a few times and opened up and closed up after events. So we figure out a way to make that work. Ginny raises a good point of the security deposit. We require a $250 deposit here. We just hold the check. In the 4 years that I've been here, I don't think we've ever claimed it. We've never had any issues. We give it back to them at the end, assuming everything is in good order. We would do the same thing, at whatever facility it happens to be. So
is there a policy written for that, for handling rental or
Yes.
usage of?
There is
Okay.
there's a policy that covers the rental of this building.
Okay.
I think there's policy for every building that we rent out, isn't there, Andy? They're all
Yeah.
different, but.
Yeah.
So in terms of the hours of, say, we had the anniversary, the town birthday a few years ago. We'll have another one. We'll have another milestone birthday coming up. It might be that the organizing group, the friends of the whatever anniversary
Of the town.
want to have some sort of a reception in the Great Hall. We would work with whoever those parties are that are involved in that to make the facility available. It may be that one of the board members is going to be attending the event and they would open up. It may be that I'm going to be attending, or we get Mark to do it, or whatever it happens to be. But we work around that. Similarly, if it's at the library, say it's a Friends of the Library event, the library director would probably be there because of her intimate involvement in that facility. We could assume that she would be available to open that up. If she's not, then we obviously make alternate arrangements.
So we're in the business of scheduling and all of that happy stuff too.
Well, we are anyways.
Yeah.
So we had a piano recital last month, which we do with the same group every year. We arrange for access to the building and close up afterwards. And we arrange for tables and chairs and trash bins and all that.
Just like the Fit Club that they do.
Yeah.
So, Carolyn, can I ask you a question? Sure. When you talked about and I looked at the alcohol policy, but to tell you the truth, I can't remember. Does it cover everything except for number 5, really? I mean, I think it does.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
I think the only thing that I would say
it's not
should be added is the Board of Selectmen shall consider each application on its own individual merits. A decision on one request shall not be binding on any other request. And I think that's an important distinction.
Was there a liability?
I agree, yeah, and I
requirement?
don't think we always do that as a matter of conditions, depending, so I think adding, and we need the certificate of insurance as additional insured,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
that-
but isn't that that's part of the one day anyway?
No,
It's
that's
not?
a condition. No. You want to just
I
refresh
thought
your...
it was there.
Refresh your... I might have missed it, I kind of glanced through it.
I thought it was too.
That's on your conditions, sometimes you don't have...
Yeah, the license holder shall be present at all times.
So I was thinking we could piggyback off of that policy that's already in existence.
Just to add something to it.
Yeah, maybe a section, one-day licenses
Right there.
issued on town-owned property.
Police or evidence of insurance depending on each event. That's where I saw it. The licensing agent may impose other regulations
Yeah,
or
it's
conditions
in
on the
here.
license holder, such as requiring a police detail or evidence of insurance depending upon
Yeah,
the event.
so it's in here. Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, so
So
the
it would
only
be
thing,
conditional.
as a condition that we might want to spell out, because I don't know if it's really in here, is the Board of Selectmen has the final say. And, the idea of not having a precedent,
So do you want to wrap,
I'm not comfortable with it at all, but
do you want to wrap this into the one-day?
I don't think, I think that
Or do you want
everything
to
is
just leave it
covered.
as a separate?
I think everything's covered in that.
Okay.
We just amend the policy to add in the number 5.
Amend
That's what I'm understanding.
The alcohol policy.
amend this to incorporate number 5?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
I'm understanding.
Just
What
to
are your
make sure
thoughts
it's
on that?
clear.
Okay. And then so we don't need another standalone
No,
policy?
it's an amendment of that one, really.
It keeps it clean, you only have to give one booklet out instead of 2 policies.
The only, well, that would be a discussion
is
for
it?
another thing. Nope,
You
not
sure?
gonna ask it.
Okay.
Not gonna ask it.
I understand what is stressful. I'm finding myself conflicted about it, too.
No, I'm not gonna get into that. We're just talking policy tonight. Okay. Okay.
Do you need a motion to amend the policy?
No, because it's gotta get, I'd rather Andy look at it and make sure that we didn't miss anything that's not in the current policy that was on the draft that we had.
Sounds good.
We're at 3.14.
Okay, review and sign the warrant for the July 31st, 2014 special town meeting.
So this makes it much easier without the
It
board
sure
vote?
does.
I would
It
move to
sure
approve
does.
and sign the warrant for the special town meeting, July 31st, 2014, at 7 PM at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street, Townsend.
Second.
I have a question.
I think Kathy does, too.
How many people did we have at the pipeline meeting the other day?
We
400.
guessed around 400.
It was 430 at the Pepperell town meeting that they had. They also have more registered voters than town, about 1,000.
Well, we had estimate of 400 at the high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's our limit here? 375, something like that?
350, 375.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you talk to Richard?
Does that
about-
include the overflows?
Yes. No, I didn't talk to him about the other item. If we open up this room and the rooms downstairs, we can get to around 350 or a little better. I think, Kathy and I were talking about this earlier, I think because of the timing, because it's smack dab in the middle of summer.
Well, if you have it at the high school, they won't show up at all because it's not air conditioned.
Well, we talked about that too. So I don't know that we'd get quite the same turnout that we got the other night, or that Pepperell got. You know, like Kathy says, Pepperell has more voters. It is a bit of a crapshoot, but for the most part, the school's not available anyways during the summer. So
I don't know how big Hawthorne Brook is, if you open the auditorium and
It's
the...
quite, you can
It's
fit
quite a
few
bit. We used to
people in
have
there.
our town meetings there.
Didn't we do the library one there? Remember the huge library?
No, we've
meeting
done
that
some
we
big
didn't have-
things there
Couldn't have
before.
here, we had it there.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's another question I have. If we should go over, say it's 350 and 400 people show up, will we be able to postpone the meeting? Or do we have to repost it? And if we have to repost it, then the 45-day limit
That's right.
has passed.
that's right.
So I don't know if you open the town meeting and then you can postpone it, if that counts. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to remember, because that came up a couple of years ago. There were a number of communities, and I think Groton was one of them. They had a town meeting scheduled, and there was a very bad snowstorm. And
Yeah.
I think the moderator got there. I think there was a state of emergency. And I think the moderator got there, and maybe one or two selectmen.
And they opened it.
And I think they opened it and continued it. It might have happened, I think it happened in Pepperell too. I can double check with council on
And
that.
I don't know if moving the meeting to another place
Changing the venue
negates
might,
all that.
yeah, changing a venue probably would require a new posting.
Can we find out how many Hawthorne Brook would hold? That's their cafeteria and
The gym.
auditorium.
Are we able to use it over the summer?
Or the
Do we-
gym.
Yeah, we've had overflow in the gym on trash issues.
Yeah, overflow, but what I'm saying is the way that, it's built is you've
Oh,
got the
yeah, you've got on both
auditorium and
sides.
you've got the
Right.
cafeteria, and then if you do have overflow, you've got the gym or the library or something, you know?
We always
Is it
had
a-
the town meetings there up until about 2002, and then we came
Is it
back.
available in the summer?
I didn't think that the schools were, but I'm not sure. I'll
You might
talk
have
to
to
the
pay for a
superintendent.
custodian or something.
Yeah.
And is this something that we have to notify the citizens of, like we do an election, or?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think as long as it's
Just by
covered
the-
in the posting.
By the warrant.
By the
Okay.
warrant,
Yeah.
yeah.
Different
With an
than
election, if you're
ballot.
changing venue, you have to send notice to every household that has a
No, this would
registered
be on the
voter.
warrant, it would just say where it is. Do we have to sign this tonight, and does it have to have the location tonight? Yes on both?
If
We
you
can wait till
sign
the
it, we have
15th.
to
No, we could
have-
wait, 15th, yeah, the 15th would give us barely enough time.
I won't be here, but if you guys can commit to doing that.
I could,
Unless you
Andy,
want
you know, we could
unless you want
vote
us to
it.
post for a quickie next week.
Oh, God, you're merciless.
Or would it work if we approve the warrant, vote to approve the warrant and sign it outside of a meeting pending location?
Pending resolution of the open questions. Yeah, I think
Would
that
that
would
work? And then when Andy gets done with it, we can just come in.
Okay, that sounds good.
So moved.
Okay, excellent.
So the date is.
Carolyn,
going
you
to
can
be
second
the
that.
31st, correct?
Yes.
Could I just let everyone know out there in TV land that last day to register to vote then would be July 21st. We'll be open till 8 PM that night. We've already had some people come in to register to vote for that town meeting. So it's going to be pretty,
For once, it's not a Friday night, right?
I know, we have that bylaw now. And what we'd like to do is to have everyone enter through the front door, because if it's crowded, it's gonna be a
For
big,
what?
for the town meeting.
No, we're hopefully going to have
Oh,
it
that's
at
right.
the
Okay,
middle
then
school.
we'll address that at a later date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that the board's first preference is Hawthorne Brook?
My first
Okay.
preference is whichever place is gonna hold more,
Then
and I
Hawthorne
think
Brook
that's
has
Hawthorne Brook.
AC.
That's true.
It does. I don't know if we
Well,
can.
like Andy says, we both, we pray for snow.
Excuse me, so this will be the upcoming town meeting,
Yes, July 31st.
and it will be at Hawthorne Brook, it won't be here.
We're
hope-
going to
we're not
find
sure.
We
out.
have to
We're
check
gonna
to make sure that we
finalize it.
can.
Just to let you know, I don't think we have live television capabilities from Hawthorne Brook, so,
Whatever.
It'll be recorded.
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
You can record it though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, just for the records, what's the motion?
I would move to approve the warrant to call a special town meeting on Thursday, July 31st, 2014 at 7 PM, pending location confirmation, and to sign the warrant outside of a meeting.
Second.
Is that satisfactory, Andy, or do you want me to change?
Yep, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 315, review and sign warrant for the September 9th, 2014 state primary election,
We did
which,
that.
Oh, we did
do
that.
We did that.
good, thank
We're
you.
on to
We're done.
Board
We're
of
done.
Selectmen updates and reports.
Yeah, I do have a few announcements.
Okay, and they're not announcements Andy already went over?
No. Stuck them
Okay.
in front of me. But I did want to say one thing under updates and reports. I had the honor of calling Ernest, as you know, over to the blessing at St. John's with Cardinal Sean O'Malley. And in the program, I noticed that he had given, he'd like to thank the town of Townsend and the building inspector, Richard Hanks, for all his hard work and advice. And I just wanted to recognize that and thank Rich Hanks for that. So that's nice to have good feedback. And then, let's see, Andy had put an update on it. I actually had read the email earlier, and this is really good news, from Rep. Harrington on pipeline. Do you want me to read the whole thing into the record, or?
I don't think you have to.
Okay, so basically what it is she's working to have an alternative route to the pipeline, and it seems the legislators and Kinder Morgan is very open to that. So, that's good news. And then the other announcement he put in front of me here is the military band. Do you want me to read it?
Could you just read what it's for?
Yeah.
Because it's all the other information.
Yeah, it's
and the
so
ti-
it's
and the
the same
time.
all the time,
Yep,
right?
absolutely. So July 3rd, we're having, it will be the Townsend Military Band will be playing at the band concert on July 3rd, and patriotic tunes and songs from well-known American musicals will be featured in the concert, which will begin at 7:30. So that's Boy Scout Troop 10. They'll be having a concession at the rear, and sell food and beverages between 6:30 and 9:15. Another nonprofit is currently being sought to run some activities for children on the Common on July 3rd, so if we have anybody that can help out. Looks like that. And then on July 10th, we'll have another band concert. Looks like it's going to be for the Townsend United Methodist Church. Okay.
Is that it?
That's it.
Colin?
I just had one thing I'd like to say. I wanted to send out my thoughts and prayers to the family of Nancy Shepherd. Nancy's been a pillar of the community for many, many decades, and she just recently passed away. And I just wanted to personally say I'm very sorry, and she will be very much missed.
She will be. Yep.
And I did go to, Andy and I both attended the first meeting of the Pipeline Coalition this morning. And as I said before, it was pretty much an organizational thing, more in terms of organizing thoughts. There were some communities there that have not yet joined the coalition, and really most of the discussion centered around what should the mission be, what is our goal, basically. And it was pretty well talked through. You know, we talked about the alternative route thing. We talked, it just not solid enough to really give you anything on yet. But I'm hopeful. I think it sounds like it's a good group. Sounds like it's a good group, and there was a lot of good discussion.
Good.
And Chelsea was there, so look for the real story.
Awesome.
And that's all I had. Andy, did you cover everything?
I gave mine earlier. Since you mentioned her, I'll wish good luck to Chelsea Fines Games.
Yeah, you're
Moving
leaving
on
us.
to the Lowell Sun. So, best of luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Good luck and congratulations.
Yeah, say hi once in a while. I will. Okay. 5.3,
I would move to approve the bills payable warrant signed outside of a meeting.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would move to approve the payroll warrant signed outside of a meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Colin?
I move to adjourn at 9:07.
Second.